All right, so we got another story that's good news. This surprised me. In Michigan, and there is a huge commie infestation in Michigan. Dana Nessel, Whitmer, I mean, it is like terrible. Anyway, so you might be aware that Democrats, one of the many lines that they've crossed was jailing their political opponents over bullshit. And they've done this in many ways. They've jailed people for singing in front of abortion clinics. They jailed people. It used to be the standard. If you went into the Capitol, you should go to jail. They started jailing people that didn't go into the Capitol. The vast majority of Trump supporters on January 6th were peaceful. They completely ignored that. We know the story. They tried to jail Ricky Vaughn over a meme. And so when it comes to the 2020 election, the Constitution allows for one side of the aisle to dispute election results if they have a problem with this. Democrats do it all the time, and that is simply what the Republicans did. So Democrats tried to make it a crime to only for Republicans to object to an election and do what's called an alternate slate of electors. And so what the filthy commies decided to do is, and you can look this up, no one was talking about a fake elector until Rachel Maddow came out with her primetime propaganda piece using the term fake electors. Before that, they called them what they are, an alternate slate of electors. You can look at the Washington Post articles during the time when it was known that Trump was challenging the election result. And the Washington Post had an article written by Fareed Zakaria outlining all the completely legal ways that Donald Trump could successfully fight this election result. And one of them is the alternate slate of electors, which they did in multiple states. So lunatic Democrats decided that they are going to cross this line, and I don't think you can uncross this line. Once you cross this line, I think you have to go to jail. And I think you have to just be, it's not easy, but you just have to, these people have to be legally, humanely, and politically removed from society. You cannot have people like this in any sort of power. It's the worst thing you can do if you're a judge, a senator, or a police officer is go after innocent people over bullshit. It is a massive betrayal, and it should not be tolerated. So they tried to outlaw the alternate slate of electors by pretending it's called a fake elector scheme. And so they indicted in certain states, Arizona, Michigan, and I think in Georgia. And I think in most of these states, it's all fallen apart. Well, the latest one where it fell apart was in Michigan. In spectacular fashion, in a way that I did not expect. The judge, who I think is like a Democrat judge, threw it out. And just basically argued the reality, which is these people were using what the Constitution allows them to use to dispute an election result. And that's exactly correct. And I was blown away. And so now, those people's lives were ruined for 2 years. And Dana Nessel, and this applies to any of the people, I would even go as far, and I know this is not practical, I'm just saying if it was me. And I know I have no control, I understand that. But I believe that the people who did this and their propagandists should all be prosecuted. And then, maybe if you were just a propagandist and you get a fair trial, maybe it turns out that, there's nothing there. Okay. But it should at least be looked at, because you just can't have a society where one side of the aisle is trying to jail the other over bullshit. That's crazy, and you can't tolerate that. That's just not sustainable. So the people that did this, whether it's the J6 lawfare, whether it's the lawfare against Trump, whether it's the lawfare against Trump supporters, all the people involved have to be prosecuted. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, although I do think some of them may be. when you look at what's going on right now, there's grand juries active when it comes to Comey, Brennan, and and those types. I don't expect Obama to be indicted, but you never know. But I do think there's at least going to be some indictments. Now the question is it going to be enough? That I don't know. That I'm more skeptical of, because to really get this done, you're going to have to indict a lot of people, and I don't know if they're willing to do that. But we're going to find out. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. So I do think there's going to be some indictments, but we're like 6 months into this. We got 3.5 years left. It does take time to do this, and if you're going to do indictments, you got to do it right. Got to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So if the issue is, because people rightfully point out on Twitter that so far there's been no indictments, and that's true, at least of what I consider tier 1 indictments that I want to see. That's true. But if the reason is because it takes time and they're trying to make sure they build the best cases, I'll accept that, no problem, as long as you get it done. So we will see. We will see what happens. But Dana Nessel and that whole crew over in Michigan, absolutely. There's so many reasons to prosecute these people. Even if you say to me, well, I don't think there's any illegality, these people abusing their positions of power to persecute innocent people. Maybe you think somehow that's legal. Okay, no problem. Well, what if I concede that to you? And then now let's talk about COVID. How about that? How about that? I just don't see how you can escape the reality that these people need to be prosecuted. But, we'll see. We'll see. Just because I have that opinion doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm just one person. I have no power, and I can just give my opinion, which is what I'm doing. Anyway, join us tonight for the Hard News Network live stream at 9:15 p.m. Eastern on Rumble, rumble.com/user/Hard News Network, and I'll see you there.